So, hello, my dear medicos. So, today we are going to revise general physiology in this video by using my handwritten notes. सो अगर आपने जनरल फिजियोलॉजी से पहले एक बार भी नहीं पढ़ा तो फिर आई विड सजेस्ट यू आप पहले जाओ और पहले जाके लेक्चर देखो, ठीक है। अच्छे टीचर, किसी भी अच्छे टीचर से आप लेक्चर देखो और अपने कंसेप्ट पहले क्लियर करो। आई वुड सजेस्ट यू दिस वीडियो ऑन स्ट्रिक्टली फॉर रिवीजन पर्पस। So, without wasting any more time, let's get started. So, first of all, uh, what is physiology? Physiology is the study of body functions and their mechanisms and regulations in all living organisms. So, physiology is the study of body functions and their mechanisms and regulations in all living organism. Okay. Now, what is human physiology? Human physiology is the study of various cells, organs, and organ system of human body. Now, medical physiology. Medical physiology is applying the knowledge of human physiology in management of dysfunctions and diseases of human body. So, if you gather knowledge from human physiology and if you apply that knowledge in management of dysfunctions or diseases, then it is called medical physiology. So, to learn any branch of medicine, it is essential to acquire the basic knowledge of systemic physiology related to the specialty. The concept of physiology helps understand and diagnose and treat the disease. And great physiologist E.H. Starling said, "Physiology of today is the medicine of tomorrow." So, but did you understand that if you are going to learn any branch of medicine, then it is very essential to know the basic knowledges of physiology, right? Because physiology helps you to understand the mechanism, the diagnosis, and the treat and how to treat the disease. So, then now. What is pharmacology? Is the extension of physiology. Pharmacology, you will study pharmacology in second year of your MBBS. And physiology is also helpful in learning pathology. This is also in your second year. Okay. Now, if you talk about unicellular organisms such as amoeba, then in unicellular organisms, exchange of O2, carbon dioxide, and soluble nutrients and metabolic wastes is by simple diffusion. Macromolecules of nutrients, which is ingested by phagocytosis. So, what is phagocytosis? Suppose this is an amoeba, and here is a macromolecule and nutrient, and this amoeba is gonna phagocytize this molecule. So, it forms stream here, streaming of protoplasm, and like this amoeba will engulf this macromolecule inside its cytoplasm, right? Inside its protoplasm. So, this process is phagocytosis. And because it's a solid particle, so this is called phagocytosis. And if this was an liquid particle, then it would call pinocytosis. So macromolecules of nutrients is ingested by phagocytosis and the undigested materials removed by exocytosis. So, and like this is amoeba, and the undigested material, removing this material outside this protoplasm, that is will called as exocytosis. So, presence of contractile proteins. Presence of contractile proteins enables to move by pseudopodia and facilitates the movement in phagocytosis and exocytosis. So, the movement by pseudopodia formation. We know that amoeba move by pseudopodia formation, which is an streaming of protoplasm, right? Suppose this is an amoeba. So, here will be like this streaming of protoplasm. Okay, and ये प्रोटोप्लाज्म क्या होगा, आगे की तरफ जाएगा, ठीक है, इस तरीके से। फिर ये अमेबा यहाँ से मूव करता है। तो ये जो फॉल्स फीट यहाँ पे फॉर्म होता है, इसको स्यूडोपोडिया बोलते हैं, राइट? तो द फॉर्मेशन ऑफ स्यूडोपोडिया, it is also because of the presence of contractile proteins, and also the phagocytosis process and exocytosis process, it is also due to the presence of contractile proteins. Now, in case of multicellular organisms like animals and man, there is a level of organization, like cells make tissues and tissues make organs and organ makes organ system. This is very basic, right? Now in organ systems, aorta supplies blood, right? And from aorta it forms artery. Supplies to the organs, and artery makes arterioles. Arterioles arteriole supply to the tissues, and arteriole form ultimately capillaries that are the junction of arterioles and venules, right? So capillaries supply to the cells. Now, major physiological systems. What are the major physiological systems? Musculoskeletal system, gastrointestinal system, and respiratory system. Cardiovascular system, and in cardiovascular system, blood is the transport medium. Then urinary system, endocrine system, you can also say that hormone system, reproductive system, and nervous system. Next is body fluids and compartments. So 60 to 70% of the total body weight is water, and this is called total body water. 60 to 70%. This body water is less in case of females due to higher body fat. Females have higher body fat, and that's why in case of females, that is less than the males. Okay, the total body water is less than the males, and remember that 60 to 70% of total body weight is total body water. Now, the total body water can be classified into two categories. One is intracellular fluid, which is called ICF, and another one is extracellular fluid, which is called ECF. Intracellular fluid is found inside the cell, and extracellular fluid is found outside the cell. Remember, two-thirds of the total body water is intracellular fluid or ICF, and one-third of the total body water is extracellular fluid or ECF. Done. Now, the ECF is also composed of two type of fluids, that is plasma, and another one is interstitial fluid. So, what is plasma? So we know that blood without the blood without the formed elements. If you remove the formed elements from the blood, then it is called plasma. So the 25% of the one third of the total body water, extracellular fluid is one third of total body water, and 25% of that one third, that is plasma, and the remaining 75% is interstitial fluid. Okay, so plasma is present inside the blood vessels because it is blood without the formed elements, and interstitial fluid is present between the vessels and the cells. You know that capillaries, I told you earlier that capillaries supply to the tissues, supply to the cells in the tissues, right? So in tissues there are spaces between the cells which are called interstitial spaces, and the fluid that is present in those spaces, that is called interstitial fluid or tissue fluid. Okay, so interstitial fluid, spaces between the cells in the tissues, is called interstitial spaces. Fluid present there is interstitial fluid or tissue fluid. Capillaries are permeable, and it allows the exchange of substances in the tissues. So what happens actually from the capillaries, from the blood, capillary blood, water along with the water soluble substances and most of the formed elements, leaving the larger proteins in the vessels, comes in this space and form the tissue fluid. Okay, so it leaves behind the large proteins and water with along with water soluble substance like glucose and most of the formed elements. Remember, RBC is not included in this. Okay, WBC's platelets, that comes, but RBC is not included in this. So larger proteins in the vessels comes in this space and it forms the tissue fluid. So tissue fluid is blood minus RBC minus large proteins. Composition is same as that in plasma. The composition of tissue fluid is same as that in plasma. Exchange of nutrients and gases between the blood and the cells occur through this fluid, and this fluid helps in the formation of lymph. How it forms lymph? So remember the tissue fluid. Okay, there are a network of vessels which is called the lymphatic system. It collects this tissue fluid and drains it back to the major veins. And what is in the veins? Blood. And blood, that means plasma. And plasma, that means what? ECF. So tissue fluid is interstitial fluid, that is also a part of ECF, and that is drained back to the plasma, which is also the part of ECF. So we can say that the ECF, extracellular fluid, is always in a motion, right? So network of vessels, which is lymphatic system, collect this fluid and drains it back to the major veins. And the fluid present in the lymphatic system, that is called lymph. Okay, so lymph, how it is made? Tissue fluid is collected in the lymphatic vessels and it forms the lymph. Okay, so we can say that tissue fluid helps in the formation of lymph. Now, here you can see that these are the cells and this is a capillary. Okay, so in this capillary, here is plasma. Okay, so the fluid inside the cells, it is ICF, intracellular fluid. Okay, and here in the interstitial space there is interstitial fluid, and there is plasma. So interstitial fluid and plasma, it is called the ECF, and ICF and ECF, it forms the total body water, right? Now, so ECF is in constant motion throughout the body. I already explained that. So you can say, so what happens in ECF? There are nutrients and ions, okay, which are essential for the cell to perform its essential functions. So you can see that cells of GIT, gastrointestinal tract and liver. Okay, so gastrointestinal tract and liver, it adds glucose to the plasma, and glucose is water soluble. So and water and water soluble substance can come in the interstitial space and form the interstitial fluid. So glucose ultimately adds to the interstitial fluid, and then the cells take up glucose from here through the GLUT, that is glucose transporters, right? Lungs also add oxygen to the plasma, and oxygen comes in interstitial fluid, and then cells take up oxygen. And the carbon dioxide produced in the cells during respiration, that is also or that also diffuses in the interstitial fluid, and then it also comes in plasma. So here is the exchange of O2 and carbon dioxide is occurring, which is through the interstitial fluid. Also, the cells produce the cellular waste, which is also diffused out into the interstitium, and from there, that is taken up by the plasma. And from there, the kidney removes the cellular wastes. So, kidney maintain constant ionic concentration. Okay, so this is how the nutrients and the ions are added in the interstitium or ECF. So you can see that those are also present in the interstitial fluid and also in the plasma. So we can say that the ions and nutrients essential for cellular functions, that those are present in extracellular fluid. Okay, those are present in extracellular fluid. So the extracellular fluid forms an internal environment, and that environment is also called milieu interior, which is a French term coined by Claude Bernard. We'll discuss this later. So here is 2 points that cancer. In case of cancer, if the cell detaches from here, and during metastasis, what happens? This cell, if it detaches from here, in case of cancer, then it will first attack the lymph nodes, because the local fluid is interstitial fluid, which is ultimately drained, ultimately collected by the lymphatic vessels, and inside lymphatic vessels there is lymph, and in the lymphatic system there are also lymph nodes present. So the first site of attack will be the lymph node. Okay, cancer parasites use resources without any function. Now, in the ECF, there are the ions and nutrients needed by the cells to maintain cell life. Thus, all cells live in essentially the same environment. We can say that all the cells live essentially in the same environment, because all the essential nutrients and ions, those are present also in the interstitial fluid, and also in the plasma, and those are the part of extracellular fluid. So we can say that the all the cells, all the ions and nutrients, those are needed by the cells, those are present in the extracellular fluid. Okay, so we can say that the cells all the cells are all the cells live in the same environment, and this environment is called the internal environment. So the internal environment is none other than the ECF. We can also call it as milieu interior, which is a French term and coined by Claude Bernard. He's the father of physiology. Okay. And maintenance of the constant internal environment, that is called what? Homeostasis, right? Yes, it's called homeostasis. Okay. So ECF contains what? Ions like sodium, chlorine, bicarbonate ions, nutrients like glucose, okay, fatty acid, amino acid, and gases like oxygen, carbon dioxide, which will be transported to the lungs and diffused outside, and cellular waste, which will be transported to the kidneys for removal. ICF contains potassium, magnesium, and phosphate ions. So remember one thing. Suppose this is a cell, so here the fluid is intracellular fluid, and outside the cell will be the extracellular fluid. So the intracellular fluid will rich in ions like potassium, magnesium, and phosphate. Potassium, magnesium, and phosphate. And the level of sodium, chlorine, these ions will be low inside the cell, but in the ECF, the level of ions like sodium, chlorine, and bicarbonate will be much higher, but potassium, magnesium will be low in concentration in the ECF.